every carrier, wireless carrier, is talking about the lack of spectrum, because you saw earlier on one of the slides is that mobile data are exploding. But how do we handle all the explosion of the data? So very quickly, I just want to flip through a couple of slides to talk about the industry, why we're here, why we're talking about cloud and mobility, why it's so exciting. And on the top, there's this IDC projection that in a couple of years, there will be more mobile subscriptions than the number of people on the planet. They are projecting 7.5 billion subscriptions by 2015. And then on the bottom, you're looking at the smartphone and tablet forecasts. There's very strong growth in both areas. In fact, IDC had to revise the tablet forecast a couple of times. So this chart showed 134 million tablets by 2015. They actually later revised upwards to 180 million, but they are changing the numbers all the time. Now let's take a look at the mobile data consumption. So this is a study done by the Cisco's Visual Network Index initiative. They publish a report every year. The global mobile data traffic grew 133% last year, and it's expected to grow another 110% this year. Now, what does that mean? Have you ever heard of the term exabytes? Right? 1 exabyte is 1 billion gigabytes. But what does that mean? Let's set that into context. So the mobile data traffic last year was 8 times the size of the total internet traffic in year 2000. And that's how huge it is. And it's growing at a rapid speed. And similarly, the mobile network connection speed, thanks to 3G and 4G, it has been increasing very, very rapidly as well. On average, last year, the speed was 315 kilobits per second for downlink. And then for smartphones, on average, it was 1.3 gigabits per second for smartphones with a 4G. And 4G connections generated 28 times more traffic on average than non-4G connections. And we have over 100 connected networks around the world that will deploy 4G, right? By the end of this year, we're expecting 60, 70 LTE networks around the world. Now, among all of these traffic, half of the mobile traffic is going to be video. Actually, Sujit spoke about this at an earlier panel discussion. It's going to be video. Video exceeded 50% among all of the mobile traffic in 2011. And it's going to grow at a compounded annual growth rate of 90% between last year and 2016. And then let's take a look at the mobile cloud adoption, right? We are streaming from Netflix, we are streaming from Pandora, we are streaming from Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. And that's going to grow as well. The cloud applications, by the way, the cloud applications may include video. That's why you're seeing the overlapping. But the cloud applications will account for 71% of the total mobile traffic in 2016. Let's take a look at the handset and the smartphone landscape. Android is clearly winning. And obviously, we have 2 Android manufacturers over here today on the stage. Android commanded 59% of the market share worldwide last quarter among all of the smartphones sold, compared with 36.1% a year ago. And then among all of the handset manufacturers, actually, my colleague from Samsung, so Samsung actually last quarter surpassed Apple to become the #1 vendor in smartphones. Obviously, that includes some Windows mobile phones as well. And then let's look at the profitability pool here. Is in the past 2 years, among the 8 smartphone vendors, which are kind of mature manufacturers, the profitability rose from $5.3 billion to $14.4 billion in 2 years, just 2 years. But obviously, Apple got 70% of the share, and Samsung got pretty much the rest. For tablets, iPad is still dominating the tablet market. It shipped 48 million iPads last year and 11.8 million iPads in Q1 this year. But that represented a 64% of the market share. The number two, distant number two, and they're all catching up, obviously. And actually today we're here in Honolulu, but Google is having their I/O conference, and they just announced a new Galaxy Tab, 7-inch Galaxy Tab, to compete in the space where Amazon's Kindle Fire is competing. Let's take a look at the worldwide application downloads. Right? This year, there will be 48.2 billion applications downloaded by consumers worldwide, and 6.3 billion of those applications will be paid applications. And even if every application is $1, that is a $6.3 billion industry this year. And looking forward, in 2016, that's going to grow. The total is going to grow to 131 billion with a paid of 18.2 billion. And then finally, let's take a look at the enterprise mobility market. So everybody hear about BYOD, bring your own device. Everybody hears about the consumerization of IT. IDC projects that there will be 1.3 billion mobile workers by 2015. And the next forecast is a survey done by Forrester Research. And they said in 2016, there will be 350 million workers who will use their smartphones to access their corporate resources. Now, that number might be underestimated, right? But what's striking is that 200 million of those devices will be personal devices as opposed to corporate liable devices. And that will represent more than 50% of all the smartphones that will be connected to the corporate resources. 7.7 billion annual budget for enterprise mobility by 2012. And finally, about 75% of the enterprises embrace individual liable phones, BYOD, as inevitable. And this is a projection done by Global Industry Analysts, GIA. The enterprise mobility market will grow to $174 billion in 2017. So what we are seeing here is really we're at an inflection point where we're seeing a rapid growth in terms of smartphones, tablets, mobile data traffic consumptions, in enterprise mobility, right? So what does that mean? How do we look at this market? Is it cloud? Is it mobile? This is actually a framework proposed by Gartner just a month ago. It's called Nexus of Forces. So today, when we look at mobility or cloud, they're not isolated. These four forces, information, cloud, mobile, and social. First and foremost, why do we even use mobile devices or use the cloud? It's because we want to either give information, share information, or take information, search for information, get information. So information is the fundamental, but mobility is actually a delivery platform that, for delivering information or getting information with ease. And social links people to their work, to each other. And finally, it's the cloud that enables the delivery of information and functionality to users and systems. And what I'm trying to say is mobility is much bigger than smartphones and tablets. Mobility is about all connected devices. Mobility is about all connected people. And with that, I want to start with our panelists.